Warning. It is the opinion of the Forestry Productions LLC and the Working Perspectives podcast that we should inform you that some of the language used in this recording could possibly be considered offensive. You have been warned, so if you decide to listen to the recording, then don't complain about the language. Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by the Ndub Roundtable, Round 2, The Next Generation, Return of the Dub. The Dub strikes again. Dub and the Dubbingtons return for revenge. J-Dub, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing swell, yo.
Good, man. Glad to have you back.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Liam, first time, long time. Happy to have you on the show. How are you, sir?
Doing good, Liam. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. I've been wanting on the show for a long time, my man. Long time coming. And then Eric, happy to have you back, pal. Thanks for coming on again. How are you?
I'm good, man. Yeah, good to be back. Thanks for having me, and I'm happy to be here with Liam and you guys as well, too.
Hey, cool, man. Cool. Glad to have you. So you can find all our stuff and all our content on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And for the love of God, it's every day that I have to hear it no matter what I do. So please like and subscribe so my wife stops giving me so much shit about doing the show. All right, let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
All right, so we're back at it again. It's the return of Ndub. We had so much Ndub the first time that we needed it again. So we brought some of the experts of Ndub here, and I'll tell you this, and I'm pretty excited. So we've had several Ndub people on the show thus far as just original guests. Justin, you were one of them. Tommy Romeo, Brandon, Sean Day, obviously Steve Cabot, who just, he's always here. But in those episodes, I had mentioned, and this is like going back, early days, especially I think Hill was probably the first Ndub guy we had on the show. And I specifically said, I was like, I would love to get more Ndub guys on the show. And I had mentioned Liam specifically because me and Liam have a storied past. So how are you, Liam? It's been a long time, man.
Great, man. Never better.
Never better. Life's treating you okay?
Yeah. Very
nice.
good.
Nice. Cool, man. Cool. Thanks for finally showing the fuck up, Yeah.
No problem, man.
Eric, I'll tell you what, man, we had a big show last week, and I'll tell you, one of the shining stars from that show was you. So thanks for coming back. How you feeling, pal?
I'm good, man. I'm great. Yeah. I'm excited to kick it with Liam. He's one of my closest friends for sure. And, we can shoot the shit. So
yeah, I think it's going to be good. We definitely got we borderline our whole stigma here is, we do ice cream for the entertainment flow, but as far as like content itself, we're inappropriate, not offensive. And I think we can get very inappropriate with some of the stories we have, which I'm excited. And then
not to put any too much pressure, but like in my personal opinion, two of the funniest bulls in North Wales, like Liam fucking his like the driest humor and would always make me fucking die, yo. And Bark's just fucking hilarious,
yeah. I would agree as well. I remember one of the first times I ever met Eric was we were hanging out at school, and I think I was just like hanging with Pete, and we were like sitting somewhere like waiting for like a bus or something. And then he was talking to Eric, and Eric had in his shoes he had done his laces, so it was EZ for Eric Zeblum. And I was like, this kid fucking gets it. All right.
You gotta take advantage of that, you know. When that's your initials, you gotta take advantage of it.
Free advertising. Can't beat it. You know what I mean? Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I did try to put ML into mine, but it just didn't work.
You should have hit me up. I would have done it, especially back then for like $5 or something.
Yeah.
I was trying to get money every which way back then.
Oh, weren't we all? I think everyone had like a kind of hustle that you would do, right? I'll tell you what, I had well, no, we'll get into that more. But so nice. So I wanted to get started. So here's how it went last week, and we're gonna kind of redo it again. I did like a round table where we just asked all the different, you know, Ndub guys we had on the show different questions about North Wales. And we got into some great backstories about killing squirrels and jumping off the school roof. And there's the cheese with the slide and the log cabin that we did. And then not to mention some other things, but I do want to get back into it. So one of the first questions I do want to ask, and Liam, we'll start with you, is when did you move to North Wales, aka?
So what year were we in third grade? 93?
Yeah,
93.
So you were 9 years old, about 8, 9?
Yeah,
8 turning 9.
9. Yeah, 8 turning 9. Yep.
Nice. So you moved there, and then you would move next to next to Bo Ziegler's house.
Well,
they didn't, right?
They didn't live there until a couple years later.
Oh.
Their grandfather lived there first. Then a couple years later, the grandfather moved, but their parents bought the house. And then, you know, the rest was history.
Yeah. Then
my life started going downhill.
I've often wondered what your life would be like had you not had those neighbors. But
me too, man.
The other side was the Romeos. So you're literally in between, just like what?
It was like 3 in a row. You couldn't have planned it better.
Yeah. Then there was a spot that we had talked about on the show last week where between the cribs, am I saying it right?
God, dude. Between the houses was like the Dodge City, dude. It was,
So Liam's house was one of the houses.
Yeah, it was the lawless West, dude.
Yeah. What were you saying, Eric?
Liam's house was one of the houses for that made between the cribs. So Liam's had a lot of firsthand experiences. I mean, I have as well. I'm sure J-Dub has, but like Liam literally lived there. So even when he wasn't trying to be a part of what was going on between the cribs, he was definitely a part of what was going on between the cribs.
I would love to be there when they like excavate, if they ever like dig up between those cribs, dude. I really want to see what's in the ground. So I remember like 40 bottles like upside down, like sinking all the way down and like seeing the bottom. Like, how the hell does that even happen?
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. I'll tell you, so when my dad left, I was like 14, right? And when he left, the law left with him, right? And then, you know, within 2 years, like my brother would have a felony charge. We would have like, you know, like 14 arrests between us, and like I would be expelled from a school and, you know, all this stuff. But what had happened is that when you have a place like this, and it sounds like what the between the cribs was, is that we had a house where kids could come to bring drugs and do them. Right. Like you're looking for a safe spot to chill and like smoke some weed and hang out and maybe drink and whatever. And like my mom was newly single. So she just was like going out doing her thing and like, you know, trying to find a new husband. Right. And so like we would have the house to ourselves, and it was like 3 boys. My sister was in Nepal or at college or whatever. And so it was just like, the lawless West going on. But I feel like, Liam, you kind of had a similar situation where like you might just be hanging out, not planning on, you know, smoking weed or whatever, but then someone just shows up at your house and they're like, hey, let's go in between the Cribbingtons and fucking smoke it a bokity, right?
Yeah. Just like you just walk out back to like, you know, take the trash out or something. And, you know what I mean? There's like 4 guys back there.
Neither of the 2 people who live there would be there, and there'd just be 3-4 people standing there smoking. Like neither no Ziegler, no Liam, and just 4 people standing there, and you'd be like, oh, what y'all doing?
Nice. I mean,
people would just migrate to 8th and Church.
Just
So like I
ride
remember
by.
waking up and I'd be like, nothing on my radar as to what I'm going to do that day, but I would just migrate up to 8th and Church. And then it could even be the evening. It could be like late at night. I remember Liam would be like in his room in the back of the house playing a game or something. And it'd be maybe like 1 a.m. I'd see him and be like, yo, you trying to burn an L? You know, something like that. Like I'd just like be right through the window at him.
Yeah.
And he'd just be like, yeah, sure, man. Hold up. You know, I just come outside. Like,
it was, you had a rancher too, right, Liam? Like the house was a rancher. So you were on the first floor. So it's just like you hop out the window or whatever the fuck, right? Like,
Oh, dude, it wasn't even. My mother made the mistake of putting my bedroom in. It was an addition, so there was actually 2 doors that led to the outside. One went to the side of the house and one went to the backyard. It was a horrible setup for an asshole like me.
hey, it worked out pretty well, right? Nice. So cool
For a while.
for us.
Hey man, I'll tell you, you didn't want to be the guy missing out back then. You know what I mean? So it's like it did work out because I remember I didn't always have like the, you know, like if people are coming over, this like you can't come over. It's like you got to pay a tax. Like, yeah, you can come over and smoke whatever, but I'm getting in on it. You know what I mean? So that was always a plus. But then also, did you ever have this where like I would have people that were like, because I remember like candy flips were big back then. And like everyone's like a candy flip is, for those who don't know, is when you do ecstasy and acid at the same time. Right. And I remember like there was like people are trying to do that or whatever, acid, shrooms, whatever. And they would just show up at our house like all fucking bugging out. And I'm like, why the fuck did you come here? You know,
You're like,
I was
love
like,
this.
I was like, this is not my problem. But then like they would just hang out. We'd give them like water and be like, all right, sit on the fucking porch and just wait till it goes away. Your fucking deal. Right. So, you know, did you ever have shit like that too, or what?
Just a lot of people coming and going. A lot of people getting sick in the backyard and stuff, and because it would kind of like spill over. You know, people get bored, and then they'd end up there was like a bench out back, or they'd sneak to like behind the like I had a shed. They would sneak to behind the shed because then you get too many people and nobody wants to share. You know, so between the cribs, like somebody's sneaking off to a bench so that you can smoke with 3 people instead of 7.
God bless
my mom, because I dude, I don't know how she did it. I fucking flipped out if I had to deal with all those assholes.
I was just gonna say
15. There'd be 15, 20 people out there, some like just standing around.
Yeah.
With like,
I don't know how she never called the cops, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it would probably be more of a headache to call the police, wouldn't it? Or like, were you guys like being loud and all that shit too?
I mean, in like short spurts.
Yeah.
It could get loud.
Yeah.
What about, well, it was between 2 houses. Do you think your mom was ever like, why aren't the fucking Ziglers calling the cops? Like, what the fuck, you know?
Nah, they're not the type to call the cops. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, they're not calling the cops.
Yeah,
I mean, they would kick us. I mean, because sometimes we would try to like invade Bo's house, literally.
Yeah.
And then they would be like, "Yo, like this is like you guys can't just do this here." And we'd be like, "Oh, our bed."
Yeah,
like
you
you go out front.
Yeah.
And then
you can be
like,
as
right,
loud.
I guess that's better than our living.
All right, we'll walk
like,
the 5 feet to the other property line. And then stay.
Well, I was actually better off because at least my mom wouldn't let nobody like inside.
No.
Bo, I felt bad for because you got people, you know, like making sandwiches and shit, like, you know, grabbing sodas, and like,
all 3 dogs barking every time somebody walks in the crib, and somebody's walking in and out of that crib every 5 minutes, yo. And the dogs and Pop Duke's trying to sleep, yo. And you're just like, what is happening?
And not like little like yippity dogs, but like Rottweilers, Labs, like big loud dogs that are aggressive to a certain degree. I mean, they don't really bite anybody, but
yikes.
The Rottweiler was, you know what I mean? He was a little bit bigoted, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Oh my god.
He was a prejudiced Rottweiler.
He was, dude. I don't know.
He didn't like Norwegians, that fucking dog.
None of the Scandinavians, none of the Nordic regions.
No. If you ever saw anyone from Iceland, they were kaput. Yeah. So nice. So wait. So like when people would come over my house, they knew like stay on the porch. If you had to go to the bathroom, you could use the bathroom, but like don't go in the fucking kitchen. Don't go near like, you know, the living room or whatever like that. Like it was kind of like if you want to come, you can hang out on the porch, but you can't like if you need to go inside, it's for the bathroom only. And you're not no refreshments, no food kind of thing. It was a total BYOB. So your mom was like your mom, Liam, was like like, you know, don't come in my fucking house. But you're saying the Zigglers, like they would just let people walk in and do whatever?
I don't know if they would necessarily let them, but
Yeah.
like Chaz kind of just, I mean, they kind of, not even just him, they kind of all just did what they, I mean, his parents were cool, you know, like
his parents were real cool and they were very welcoming. And then there was just a lot of friends of Chaz, Bo, and then even Crystal that lived in the neighborhood, and there was just so much traffic at all times. Like that was probably like 8th and Church was like the spot, but like house wise, like their house was like, that was like the house, you know, and like the living room was right in the front, and then the parents kind of chilled in the back. So it was kind of like, okay, you get into the house, like everybody's chilling in the living room, we're all hanging out, whatever. And then like Crystal's room, Chaz and Bo were in the front, and then so was the bathroom. And then the parents had the back section of the house. So it was like the dividing line where the gray area was the kitchen.
Yeah, that sliding door.
Okay, I'm in the kitchen. Like Pop Dukes is over here. The mom was always like, she would float through. She's nice as can be, man. But you know, when you got to the kitchen, you're like, all right. She didn't really go much further.
Like you kind of you didn't invade like the parents' space kind of thing.
Yeah, you couldn't wake up Pop Duke.
No.
You couldn't wake up.
Oh my God.
Papa Zig, shit would get when because he would you woke him, if you were allowed enough to wake him up, he would emerge from that sliding door.
I wish Bo was here
and start kicking everyone the fuck out. Like didn't matter if he met you once or he's seen you every day, he'd kick you out just the same. Like he'd look at me like get the fuck out, and then he'd start grabbing people like get the fuck out, and then there'd be like
he would
20
shut
people
that
on the
shit
front
down.
porch, and he'd be like, "Y'all go to fucking bed." Like y'all got home.
Well, first sometimes he would come out. It depends because there were times when we were like legitimately throwing a small party with like music blasting at maybe Tuesday. It'd be like 3 a.m. on a Tuesday, and he has work the next day. And we just have like 50 Cent blasting, people like just doing whatever. And he would just come out and he give you a couple lines that you hear, Bo. Or he would come out just like real. Sometimes he would come out real nonchalant and be like, "What is this? A fucking party?" And just like look around and start sizing people up. And then like the people from the neighborhood, like me, Liam, John, Steven, Tommy,
like the everyday guys.
Like Tommy was real cool with them, so he could come and go, you know. And then there other people were real cool, but like people knew, like the people from the neighborhood, we knew, you know. It was like, I'm getting out, like you know, like even when it got loud, sometimes I'm like, Zig's about to wake up, I'm gone.
Yeah. You don't want to deal with that. Nice.
That's I would feel bad for Bo. It was like when it would get loud, and he would be like, "See ya." Like there was nights I was envious of how like Liam, Tommy could just walk home in 2 seconds, and I was 5 blocks down further on 3rd, and I'd be like, "Damn, I wish I lived right here," because like I had to like watch for the police, make sure like they didn't watch me like stumble when I walked home, you know?
Yeah, for an underage.
Yeah, so I'd like dip through the dog park and like take a shortcut, but like. Also, I wasn't envious of that. There would be 45 people outside your house on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Schoolwork must have been tough to do at that point, right? But you did well. I remember, Liam, you weren't terrible with grades, right? Like you got your shit done, didn't you?
I did until my problem was getting in trouble. It wasn't the grades and stuff. Like I had enough credits to graduate and everything. I was going home early senior year, you know? Yeah. So I was doing enough to get by, but I don't know. Was just an idiot every other way you could be an idiot. You know?
Yeah. We don't have to talk about that shit. So, all right. So let's keep it moving. So that was the answer to question 1 for Liam. He moved here when he was 8 to 9 years old. We'll go to Eric. I didn't ask you this last week. When did you move to North Wales?
Yeah, so my grandma lives at 5th and Summit, right up by the elementary school. So I've been in and out of North Wales since basically I was born. Mm-hmm. When I was about 5 or 6 years old. So my childhood best friends were actually, we mentioned them last week, but David Billick Andrew Mitchie, who
wait. Spud?
Yeah.
You and Spud grew up together? You and Spud were
Me
boys?
and so listen, Dave and I had every single Ghostbusters and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toy you could possibly imagine. Between the two of us, we had to have had every single toy you could imagine.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we had everything between the two of us.
Yeah.
We grew up on Talmadge Avenue together.
Did you ever hang out over Deary's? Did you ever hang out with John Deary? Oh,
no, I was like 5 years old. There was like it was like Dave was just my best friend. And then there was Emily Tornetta. And then the Taggarts lived across the street from us.
One of the six females that lived in North Wales.
No, this was Lansdale.
Lansdale.
Oh,
this was Lansdale.
Wait, where
this was Talmadge Avenue. Yeah.
And by what elementary school? My Nap?
This is behind the 7-Eleven on Main Street. Like,
so you were by like, so you were near like York Ave, right? No.
The
7-Eleven on
Cannon
Main.
Avenue.
Like by West Main Diner and where Frank's Pizza is. There's that Domino's on like Main Street.
Oh, all right.
Down the street from Cannoneers.
Yeah. Okay.
Down the street from Cannoneers.
I know where you're at then. Yeah.
Yep.
All righty.
So that's where I was at until the age of like 5.
Okay.
And then my dad went upstate. And then my mom and the 4 of us kids moved in with my grandmom in North Wales.
Okay.
And so I was at North Wales first, 2nd and 3rd grade. And then into 3rd grade, I went up to Hatfield. So I was at Hatfield Elementary.
Okay.
I lived in 2 different places in Hatfield. And then the end of 6th grade, I went back to North Wales.
All right.
And then I was in North Wales till I was like 21, 22, something like that, early 20s.
Bouncing around as a young kid ain't fun, man. That's tough. But you also like, so when you do bounce around like that, I know you have an older brother that Steve has talked about in great length on the Weekend Poppin', which is available on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Work and Respect This Podcast. But he has talked about, Kevin and like the Keystone Sports, right? Or his like training center and the power washing and everything like that. North Penn power washing. And but so when you're moving around from place to place like that, I know the parents are going through a lot, and it seemed like your mom was on her own at this time, right? For at least some of it. So I know you have an older brother and you have a younger brother, and where's the other child?
Older sister. The sister's the oldest.
Oh, so it's a sister and 3 boys.
Yeah. So it's Kirsten.
Shit. Mine's the same.
Then
way.
Kevin, and then me, and then Alex.
All right. So at that time, though, I feel like, when you're moving around a lot like that and you're single parent, like your siblings do, like, you need them big time, right? So do you remember like relying on them, or like, were you more of like developing relationships with other kids and making friends that way? Or what do you kind of recollect about that time?
I mean, it was pretty much like we grew up playing sports. Yeah. So specifically Kevin and I, we were like big time into sports. So it was easy for us to like make friends. We would just go play a sport, and we were both athletic and stuff. So we'd fit in with those guys. And we had like, so when we moved from, so my childhood best friend, so that actually, when I went back to North Wales initially, after I lived in Hatfield, Andrew Mitchie, who just passed away, rest in peace, Andrew, one of my closest childhood friends.
Wait. Are you serious? I had no idea that happened.
Yeah, I just found that out like 2 months ago.
What the fuck?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, damn shame.
Dude, what the fuck? Do we know how? What happened?
I'm not sure the details. I don't know. I'm not like positive exactly what happened or anything like that.
I had no idea, man. Sorry, guys. I had no clue.
Yeah, I think it was something on the lines of natural causes.
Oh, fuck, man. That sucks. He was a great dude.
I always think about him on Halloween because his father worked for Nestle and would give out Beast Bars and the fucking best candy.
Someone had talked about that recently, but it was Steve had talked about he would pull the old Switch costumes and go back in and get like, because he gave the king sizes out. That's a shame. Well, shout out to him, man. Fucking really good dude. That's a shame. So sorry. So you're friends with you go
when I went to Hatfield initially.
Okay.
When I went to Hatfield initially, it was cool because we plugged in with people like Mike Chivarelli, Anthony Chivarelli, Jeff Ball, Greg Ball, Andrew Ball, the whole Ball family was like really close to us.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, so I was over in Hatfield and I had my little network of people that I met at Hatfield Elementary. So Penfield people that came into North Penn. I already had some friends. And then when I went back over to North Wales in third grade, Andrew Mitchie immediately linked me up with Liam, Travis, Chris Corona, Brandon Hill. You know, like I got together with those guys and it was off to the races, you know, because me and Andrew already were, like I said, like when I was, from the time I was born, basically, me, Andrew, Patrick Duddy, or I'm sorry, me, Andrew, Patrick Duddy, and Dave Billick. Those were my childhood friends. So Andrew's one that took off into adulthood and stuff like that.
Nice.
We kept in touch. Yep.
Nice, man.
But, to fit in, I mean, we just played a lot of sports and I don't know, we did a lot of fishing and stuff like that together. And like, I don't know that we were necessarily verbal in communication or like our love for each other, but it was more so just like we just knew, like we just would go around, take care of business. We all knew we had each other's backs, you know.
I feel
I don't
like
know if that answers the question.
No, it does. At that age, you do need like, you know, like you're looking for comfort a lot of the times. I would feel, at least in my, like what I would regulate it as is like, okay, I know if something goes down, like I have this person or if I have this person kind of thing, especially when you're like missing people in your life or someone's like in and out and whatever. So, you know, you do need like the reassurance of like, okay, we might fight or whatever, but we're in this together kind of thing. And I know if worse comes to worse, I have this person. And it, you know, and it does develop more as you grow older. But as like a kid, you know, you do, I don't know. I feel like some people kind of would, you know, adjust their minds to feel that kind of way. So either way. Okay. So go ahead, Liam.
I agree. I had no relationship with my father, and like I filled that gap with definitely like the relationship with like my friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably a huge reason why my friends were such a big part of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just in agreement with you. You know?
Yeah. Just
a lot of humor, a lot of playing around the neighborhood, hanging out with the friends. Like,
oh my God. Yeah. I would storm. There was 5 boys in my house. My house was tiny. I would just storm out and leave. You could just go to 8th and Church. Somebody would be out there.
Yeah. That's one thing I do miss about like childhood is like just leaving the house and knowing like, all right, we're going to fucking get in an adventure somewhere today.
Like, you know,
either we're going to the woods or we're going to the park or we're fucking going to a house or whatever.
Going down.
Yeah. And like, dude, like you guys, I remember like wrestling was so big when we were kids, right? So like how many like Royal Rumbles and like wrestling matches like all the time, right? It was the fucking best. I'm like, I kind of wish, like, how great would that be if you just started like an adults like wrestling league, like you know what I mean? Like, I show up here, you know, obviously we're not gonna hurt anybody, but if you want to fucking do you know, some sweet chin music, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? So that's an idea. But
the first match would be great. The next week, everybody would be like, everything
hurts.
Yeah.
My back's thrown out.
Dude, I'll tell you what, like if you look at like I researched the injuries of some of those guys, it's unreal. They're fucking CTE city. But so nice. Okay, so Justin, how about you? Same question. When did you move to North Wales?
My mother had me at the age of 21, and her dad died when she was 6 months pregnant with me. Her mom died when I was 6 months old. And so she got the inheritance, bought the house in North Wales, and then met my like legal father. Right. And it started from there. But like I was basically born in I was like a year when I moved to North Wales.
Born and raised in North Willie. Love it. So you guys all like you're saying, and I would agree with that, where it's like, also, let's not forget that when we were coming up in the 90s, gang culture was at an all-time high of what you want. Like, I think we all wanted to be in gangs as kids, right? So like you were like repping, like, especially too, like I remember like The Outsiders is like one of my favorite movies, you know what I mean? And then you're hearing like all this East Coast, West Coast, Bloods, Crips, Latin Kings, and then like the biker gang bullshit, you know what I'm saying? So like when you get that kind of stuff, like in your mind, you're like, all right, this is our gang kind of thing. So when you have your friends, like that's how you kind of, you know, you're together and stuff like that. So I would agree, but that's pretty cool. So All right, so let's keep it moving. Next question, and we're gonna go back to you, Lashmiz. All right. So you, like we said, you moved to North Willie when you were 8 turning 9. And yep. I don't know, are you still there now, or where are you at now?
Yeah. So instead of Church and 8th, me and my daughter now live on 3rd Street in North Wales.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's a good street, yeah.
So, yep. So where I lived was the 4th Street neighborhood of Lansdale. You guys know. And I know I'm like, my mom sold her house there a couple of years ago, and it was like fucking heartbreaking, right? Like, you know, love that freaking house, and like, you know, love that neighborhood, but it did change quite a bit. You know what I mean? Still like the same kind of vibe, but you know, it's not, you know, you don't see like a ton of kids running around like you used to and things like that. What kind of differences, Liam, would you say you've noticed in Ndub now as opposed to when you were growing up?
I mean, it feels like I see like less kids out kind of doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
But I love it here. As far as a place to raise my daughter, like we moved recently, and like I did everything I could so that we could stay in North Wales. You know, like I want her at this school. I want her in this town. You know, I mean, I work close to here too, so that's obviously a reason to stay. But like, I just don't see like, you know, like a group of kids walking down the middle of the street instead of the sidewalks. I don't know. I don't see a lot of that, but I'm sure it goes on. You know, because I'm not here during the day. True, I'm in by 8 or 9 every night. You know, so
if not sooner. But
it may just seem that way because I'm older.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a great place to live, and I love it here. And you know what I mean? I'm glad to be raising my daughter here.
Yeah, and you're in a school district that's ranked 8th in the state of Pennsylvania. So fucking why would you move? You know? Eric, what about you? Have you noticed any changes in North Wales? I know in my old neighborhood, I just remember like years ago, like all the time you would see like a gang of kids on bicycles, right? Yeah, you never see that anymore. You know,
you don't, dude.
No, that was like the thing. Your bike was your horse. You know, sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I work in North Wales now, and then I still have family that's there. Like my older brother's still there, and my grandmom's still there, and I still got friends that are there. But I don't know. I kind of like Liam's there all the time, but like I don't know. There's no way that somebody's doing like there's no way it's like it was when we were there with like what I mean we were doing
no one killing squirrels.
We were like nuts. Definitely not. No, definitely
no
not.
fucking
like
squirrel
just hunting. And that's just the way it was because there was so many kids our age and we were like just so like I don't know. We were just nobody was really telling us what to do. We were just kind of like walking around doing what we did like as a crew. And like right in the middle of the street. So it's still pretty much the same. One thing I have noticed that bothers me, and I don't know if it's just because I can like see it, but there's like a North Wales Borough Facebook page. And there's a lot of people have recently moved into North Wales.
Ooh,
and
transplants.
And they have no idea like where like the culture of North Wales, like what it really is and what it used to be like. And I see them complaining. Like it was funny. There was a post on there about just recently is like, oh, I don't know if anyone saw their kid come home with a large jack-o'-lantern bowl, but someone stole our bowl of candy. I can't believe kids would do this. And then like other people like that are clearly transplants are like, this is ridiculous. These kids should be ashamed. I heard 16-year-olds using the F word. And I'm like, yo, when we were kids, we were so crazy on Halloween. Like there were people like, it was like Hunger Games. Like people had pillowcases and were just dumping, like running house to house just to like get as much. I remember people had multiple outfits. Like they would go as one thing and then circle back as another outfit. Like, and I mean, look, I'm not like saying it's cool or that kids should be doing this, but like when we were 16 years old, there was way worse things than people just saying the F word. Like, especially Mischief Night. Like, it was crazy.
Mischief Night,
It was
aka
pretty bad.
Steve Cabot's birthday. Makes all the
Mm,
sense in the
yeah.
world. But yeah, no, the lady's lucky she just got her bowl stolen, right? Like if it
Yeah.
was,
Yeah,
you
not her
know,
house destroyed.
yeah,
exactly.
You're welcome.
Like,
Also, don't leave your bowl out, moron. Right?
Yeah.
Like you're.
What do you
it's
think
your
they're gonna
fault.
do?
Yeah, they're
but
kids.
it's still a great place though. It is very much the same, like in as far as like the only difference would be like our group of kids, the way we were was crazy, but like
Yeah.
everything else is pretty much the same. Like it's a peaceful little
Yeah.
borough, and it's a great place to like
Peaceful.
Liam said, like to raise your daughter.
There's not a
Yeah.
gang of unsupervised males just roaming
Yeah.
the neighborhood all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a gang of wild male dogs that would just like roam around, and wherever they went,
There's
they
literally
destroyed
one on.
it.
It's a 10 block region. There's like at least one or two on every single block, and when they
Yeah.
all get together, there's like 30 just animals running
Yeah,
around
it's like a
small
pack.
borough.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna
Wolves.
say, Liam?
It sounds like an improvement. The crime in the area is an orange bowl disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
and some F-bombs.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh, yeah, it's an
Yeah.
improvement.
One
Liam,
kid tried
it
to
is.
derail a train one year.
What?
One kid tried to derail an R5 train one year.
Was it Steve?
No, it wasn't any of like us.
No,
Because
Steve
it was literally the
succeeded.
moment it had, like I remember, because it was happening like right behind my house, and I remember my mom being like, "Did you have anything to do?" I was like, "No, I don't want to derail a train." Like
Yeah.
somebody put a huge cinder block like on the track.
I kind of want to. Yeah.
Oh, I could hit the crib, yo.
Yeah, yeah. You're
Should've
like,
rattled
Mom,
my
I don't want a
windows."
train in my living room. You know, if I
I'm
wanted
pro
a
train in this
set.
house.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, that is, I mean, yikes. What a bunch of fucking nut jobs, right? But that's
Well, that's it was
Northwest.
back before cell phones. So like your parents' options were either watch you all day or just let you leave the house. Like those are your
Yeah.
two options. Like
Yeah.
there's no way to contact us once you leave.
Yeah,
And once
Yeah.
you're free, you're free. We would go to like you can do anything.
Mhm.
yeah. I remember, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you guys were it's nuts. And
It's the last of the unsupervised children.
yeah. I guess
You
you're
can't
right.
geo-track me. You couldn't find like it literally if I never came home, it would take you a day to figure out where I was.
Yeah. I remember my mom used to just like call people's houses and be like, I haven't seen Matt in 4 days. Do you know where he is? And it's just like, because like you could just like sleep over whoever's house, you know, like if you're fucking playing a new video game or whatever, you're like, oh, we're staying here all night, you know, and
Mhm.
you're fucking Mountain Dew all night. And then the next day you wake up and go to the woods and then you're there and then you go to someone else's house. And you know what I mean? It was just, I don't know. And then you're fucking going to the pool. You're like, I don't need to take a shower. I'm going to go to the pool. I'm fine. Right. So fucking dirty little kids. Was the pool big for you guys in the summer or what?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
You guys had a fucking baller pool. If I
The
remember
Norgoing pool was
correctly.
dope.
Yeah.
So the one year
That's yeah.
I left my bike on the front lawn. It got stolen. And like, I never left my bike on the front lawn ever in my life. Like it was running on Main Street. I got a nice bike. I got a red line one year. Like all I saved up for it.
Oh, beautiful.
I had it for like 3 months and it got stolen. And I was so
Sure.
upset. And
Yeah.
the Billocks had moved in. And when Mike moved in, the oldest brother, he had brought with him this GT dyno frame. That's all it was a frame. And he put it down in the basement. And I like noticed it when he moved in. So
Yeah.
when my bike got stolen, I was immediately on a mission to just go steal the rest of the parts from the Norgoing pool during the summer. So I would
Yeah.
ride on somebody's pegs and then steal somebody's handlebars one day, put it in my backpack, get a ride home. And then the next day, like steal somebody's pedals. Like I did it for like once a day until I could put a bike back together.
Oh, wow. Good. I mean, damn.
That's how I
Like-
learned to put a bicycle together too.
But also,
I didn't have the money. Yeah, I was like 10. Like I couldn't get, my parents weren't buying me another bike. Like
no.
you were on your own.
Yeah. I remember my bike got stolen one time and we found out who did it. And my dad like went there and fucking almost killed the fucking guy. Yeah. He was like,
That's
tell
awesome.
your scumbag kid to never come near my kid's bike again. You know, I was like, Dad, relax, you know, but either way, never got my bike stolen again. I'll tell you that. So, all right. So moving on, next question. And Justin, we'll start with this. So if there's anything you could change about North Wales, right? What would you change today? And then we'll do it as like in the past. And then the next time we'll do like present day. So in the past, if there's anything you could have changed back then about North Wales, what would you have changed?
I mean, North Wales was perfect to me. Like inside my house was a fucking chaos zone because like my parents were a bit of alcoholics and there was many children. So like it was North Wales was like heaven to me. Like there was a pizza shop, a way to get donuts. There was a Ryan's beverage right down the street. Like there was everything you could want. Like getting up and getting out of the house was my favorite thing to do. Like yeah. Because like chaos would erupt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like you didn't also like, dude, if something went down, right?
You didn't want to be there.
Missed it. Oh, like if something like a neighborhood thing went down and you missed it, end of the fucking world, right? You know what I mean? Like a fight or some like a cop thing or vandalism or something like that. Like and you missed it and everyone else was in on it. Or like God forbid you miss Manhunt. Right. I'm fucking like, I'm losing my mind.
See, that's what, so when my parents got divorced, I would go every other weekend to my dad's house, which was out in Souderton where I had no friends. It was like farm town. Yeah. Like hated it. And then I'd come back home every weekend and be like, what'd y'all do? And they'd be like, oh, yo, we were throwing 40 balls at the train when it drove by. And I was like, damn, I'm going to throw 40 balls at the train. That sounds fun.
Man. Nice. So what you're saying, you wouldn't change anything then?
I wouldn't change a damn thing. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was pure freedom.
Lashmish, how about you? Anything you would change about maybe your neighbors?
I would not change my neighbors because it's better to have, I guess, crazy neighbors that are cool than just dick neighbors. But
true.
If I could change one thing,
probably more women
back then.
He missed that last week.
Lots of
7-to-1 ratio. Yikes.
I guess like the people panhandling at the laundromat, at the Wawa, digging through the cig butts and stuff.
What? Yeah. What do you mean? Like there'd be like bums there? And like homeless people and just
so they're not quite bums. They live in these like group homes and stuff that are in the town. Yeah. But they're just like, I don't know. They're just, I guess where they're centrally located. There's one, I guess, by the Wawa, and they're always asking for change and digging through the butt buckets and stuff. Yeah. And then they're by the laundromat too.
And they would hassle kids?
Hassle anybody.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're tweaked, what are you gonna do, right?
There's the Lamb. So we're living in North Wales. I've lived there my whole life. The Lamb Foundation, they take in special needs people. They collect their government check and they provide them with shelter and food. You know what I mean? Take care of them. But they're also special needs people who just like because they lived right around the corner from our house. The Zena's Bakery got bought out and they turned them all into apartments for them, and they would like parade around the block, and they were all special needs people, who didn't have any other incomes or sources. So they, if they smoke cigarettes and they'd see you outside smoking a cigarette, they'd be like, hey, can I have a cigarette? And they would, anytime they saw you.
They smoke them cigarettes that are like cigars, but with like a filter on it.
Yeah. The black and mild gimmicks. Yeah.
Oh God, dude, they're so disgusting. Dutch treats, they're called.
Oh, the worst. The worst. What were you gonna say, Eric?
No, nothing. I said cigarillos.
Yeah, dude, that is yikes. What? So you would get rid of the fucking skeezers hanging around being fucking...
Well, they don't have to get rid necessarily, just in some way.
Don't harass people.
Yeah. They just gotta handle it.
Hey man. I mean
everybody's got to be somewhere.
Yeah. That's a rough life though too, when you're coming through that shit. I wouldn't, so you can't really judge people in that state. It's tough.
We had the Lamb Foundation there. When I moved out of North Wales, I moved down towards Norristown, and my neighbors were the same exact thing. It was a house of like 6 of them, all in one house, but they were on the other side of my fence. But I lived in a real bad neighborhood. Yeah. And I was like, hey, like they were out there all night and all day. So I'd be like, hey, like anybody comes, like looks through my window, knocks on my door when I'm not home, like let me know. I would always put my cigarettes out like halfway through, and the one bull would always come walk around and steal my cigarette butts out of my ashtray. But like, they were home all day. They were friendly.
Yeah.
They just need cigarettes.
Yeah. I remember former guest or former co-host of the show, former guest of the show, and friend of the show, Party Boy Pete McCormick. He used to have, when he went to Drexel, and Liam, we went down to party at his house one time, and I think we slept on his roof, if I'm correct.
I slept in some like rickety bunk bed on the top bunk.
It was me, you, Kev Byers, and then the girl you were dating at the time. And so like, but either way, Pete lived on Spring Garden, like 35th and Spring Garden, and he's like 1 block away from Haverford Ave, which is like fucking trashy, right? And he's like in the hood, and I think one of his neighbors, they called him Brother Man, right? And after a party, they would pay Brother Man to clean up the house. And then also, like, because he was like getting money from these guys, Brother Man was like their fucking like watchdog too. He's like, hey, you guys gotta be careful for this and gotta be careful for this. So it does pay to have like a neighborhood guy that you're like, all right, this guy's all right. He's cool. You know what I mean? So yeah, nice, dude. I was fucking when it was me, you, Kev, and the girl you're dating, and we were at Pete's house, and like, dude, he lived in like the wrestling house at Drexel, or I mean, whatever. And it was like a total fucking party city. They had a stripper pole in the basement, they had a bar, like they had all this shit. And I just remember, like, I think it might have been Cat, or no, I don't think he pukes, but I just remember being like, oh, he did
in the morning. Yeah. Next morning, he got real sick.
Yeah. And we were just on the roof, like, oh boy, this is trouble. But yeah. So nice, good times. So moving on. So Eric, how about you? Anything from the past you would change about Old North Wellington?
I mean, it was pretty perfect, man. It was like great. I mean, there's only like, I guess the only thing I could really wish that didn't maybe happen, it's not so much like about North Wales, but just like, I wish we didn't probably piss off our parents so much. You know what I mean? Like we put our parents under so much stress. Like Liam said earlier, like his mom's an angel for not like, you know, like whatever, just dealing with us, like her, like his parents, the Ziegler's parents, remember, like all of our parents, we put them through hell. So I wish we didn't put so much stress on them, but like otherwise it was perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, except for the way that the water would drain. So when we would walk to middle school at Pembroke, so we would all go, like Liam already knows, and Justin knows where I'm going with this. So like, if it would be a rain day, like we get some serious rain and it's like, oh, we got to walk to school. Like the entire back field of Pembroke would become this low,
like a swamp,
low slanting water.
Like
it was just like this, like big wide river that would just like
there's
no way to get to school without going through this like river. It would be like a side swipe, and you had your shoes, your pants, like it was just crazy. That's something I would, you know, if I could do it. I remember showing up at middle school so many times.
I forgot
just
about
like
that,
completely destroyed, and people are like, "What?" They're like, "Yo, what the fuck happened to you?"
I was never,
and I'm just like, "You don't understand what I have to go to." And it wasn't a far walk, but it was just the nature of the walk. Once you got past the woods, it was over.
It was too wide to jump, and I refused to walk around. I would be grumpy in the morning, have to walk to school, and I would just plow through it. I remember like plowing through it one day and getting like so wet, like so much wetter than I would have if I just like tiptoed like I normally did. I was just like, fuck it. And like socks, everything soaked, and just sitting there like, God damn it, why'd I do that?
Oh, the worst. I remember I would have to walk to, I went to St. Stan's as for elementary school. And we'd have to walk to school, and we'd have to walk through 4th Street Field. And like, you know, when I was younger, like, I would step in puddles, but eventually you learn like, okay, don't step here kind of thing. But dude, getting like your socks and shoes wet and like the bottom part of your pants, the fucking worst.
Yeah.
The absolute worst. Cause it's all day like that. And it's just like, oh, it's a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. Nice. Okay. So let's keep it moving. So, alrighty. So when I was coming up, right, and I'll tell you this, your boy, Old Uncle Matty, always been looking fly since day one. But back in the day, there was some fashions that you had to have. Eventually, you know, when you started wanting to be cool, right, like you got the sleeves on your T-shirts, fucking see you later, gone, right? I probably cut the sleeves off of every T-shirt I ever had to show off the guns. It's just a thing. Right. And then you had to have your mesh shorts game, right? Your basketball shorts, like, had to be top notch. Anything in UNC blue was a win. You know what I mean? So, and then of course sneakers. I remember I talked about it I think last, or maybe not last, or I forget when I talked about it, but I talked about the Jerry Stackhouse sneakers, the Feelers, and I had 3 pairs of them in UNC blue and white, red, blue and white, and then black and white. And I'll tell you, big old fan of the shoes. So what was one fashion that you remember kind of as a kid coming up? And Eric, we'll start with you. So do you remember like something where you were like started wearing this or dressing like this, or putting easy in your sneakers with your laces because those are your initials? Anything like that?
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely like the typical waves of like late 90s, early 2000s, and then into the 2000s. But basketball shorts, definitely. I mean, if I could wear basketball shorts 365 days in a year, I would. And that's just how it was, especially growing up. I always wore high white socks. Like not everybody in North Wales did, but I always had high white socks on.
Damn right you did.
And
even during the ankle sock phase, right?
Yeah, I always had
dude
high white socks.
Did you ever do this? This was the move. I remember I had crew socks, but ankle socks were like the gimmick, and I would pull the crew sock all the way up, and then I would fold it so that the top part of the crew sock would go underneath, like it would be like half on my foot, so it looked like an ankle sock. And I did that.
I know what you're talking about.
All the time. That was the move, right?
I don't know. I might have done that, but like honestly, like if I might have like tried that once or twice, but like I was always just rocking high white socks.
You were ahead of the game with the high white crews, because that is the fucking look. You know what I mean?
I always had
really
high
accents the caps.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly it. But otherwise, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there like Liam was my age, and we actually did a lot of shopping together growing up. And a large part of that is because a friend of ours, their dad had these Sears dollars, and we would barter, and then we would all we'd all get these Sears dollars and like these like gift cards and stuff that we would take to the mall. So me and him went through the phase of like Timberlands, silver jewelry in middle school. You get the silver jewelry.
Remember the Stone Cold Steve Austin chain? Everyone had like that thing. You know what I mean?
Oh
I
my
forget.
God,
You know,
no limit tank.
No, and one. You had all the and one gear. Yeah. So all right. So you're shopping with him. You're going through like, you know, Tim's and jeans.
We went through a lot of the phases, like the typical like early, what would it be? I guess like early 2000s.
Yeah. Well, street culture,
like late 90s,
so
early
big.
2000s, like they you know, we just go to the mall and just try out different stuff, you know.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, but like back then, like street culture was so big. Like you would have, I remember the day I got the answer, or the Allen Iverson, I got the answer 2s, right? And they were the white with the red, and they were fucking like the most beautiful shoe. Got them at Sneaker Stadium, right? And I just remember thinking like, dude, I'm gonna wear these with some fucking ball shorts. I'm gonna go to the fucking the St. Stan's Fair or the St. Rose Fair. I'm gonna be fucking looking good. You know what I mean? Like you did all that. I remember like seeing, like going through my dad's stuff to see if he had like a chain I could wear. You know what I mean? Like, but that's just what you wanted to do because that was cool. Like I did not want to dress like those kids that were like Aeropostale and like all that shit. You know what I mean? I was like, no fucking thanks. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone wanted the, you know, the cool stuff was like the Timbs and, you know, all that shit. Timberland was like a huge brand. Polo, Chaps.
Like Ralph Lauren Polo, not.
Do you remember Chaps? Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah.
I remember Chaps.
Chaps was huge, man. And then like
Nautica.
Nautica
made a big run.
Tommy. Oh, dude, I still rock Tommy Hilfiger.
Polo Sport was the thing.
What was the worst cologne you had? Do you remember Brute? Remember the Brute packs?
Oh God, dude.
Like
Dude,
plastic.
I had the Brutes. Oh man. I remember one time I did so much cologne that my brother got sick in the car on the way to where we were going. It was called
Cool
like
water.
Aspen Cologne. It was so bad, but
Cool water was popular. Michael
remember-
Jordan cologne. We hated the Michael Jordan cologne. I don't remember who got it, but one of us got
had
the
it,
Michael
yeah.
Jordan cologne.
I
hated it.
remember the big reason. I think Alan had it. Alan Bach, friend of the show, former guest of the show. Hold on, time out. Liam, is everything cool?
Yeah. What's up?
Say
Hello.
hi.
Layla.
What's up, yo?
You can say hi.
Layla, is that her name?
Yeah.
She's gone.
Now she's shy.
How old is she?
7.
7? Damn.
7.
She's
Yeah.
already in second grade, first grade.
First grade.
Oh my god. My daughter's 2. Dude,
Yep.
brutal. Dude,
Oh,
she looks just like you. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing.
Dude, I say the same thing about my kid. I'm like, God, I hope she looks like her mom. Ugh. Yeah. Nice. Are you cool to keep going then?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Nice. So, like we were saying, fashion was big back in the day. Fun stuff. So, J-Dub, what do you remember about the fashion growing up in North Willie? What were you doing? What's the kind of shit you're rocking?
I loved my starter jacket.
Oh, bro.
I had a white Eagles one, like the home Eagles
Oh.
Jones. It was white with the black and like the big V down the back, and the
Oh.
old bird logo. I loved it more than
Beautiful.
anything.
Yeah.
And then the only reason I ever got nice, like I got dope shoes when I was a kid. Like
Right.
my mom wasn't buying shoes, but the Boys and Girls Club, if you sold if you did that hustle every year, they would buy you a pair of shoes out of the East Bay catalog,
Oh,
and you
Dude.
could get up to
Nah, I
you get
think
up to
the original
$100.
was Dimmers, wasn't it?
Was it Dimmers? Oh, they would take you to that store on
Remember they
Main
played
Street.
Dimmers up by 309
I forgot it.
Cinema.
So at the beginning they would take you to that one store, and then towards the end they would just give you the catalog. But
Mhm.
it was like $100 cap, and then like sometimes like I don't know if any went to the Boys and Girls Club. Jody would sometimes hook you up with like a 120 pair, like let you go, and you could get any pair you wanted as long as you had to sell. What did you have to sell? I forget what it was.
I don't even remember.
They would give
but
you
we
like
lived there, so we always hit we were there all the time.
North
wait,
Bend went on
which
strike
Boys and Girls Club?
right in
Lansdale.
Lansdale and Main Street.
You
So
guys went to the Boys and Girls Club in Lansdale?
so when North Penn
I
went on
was there
strike,
all the
Really?
time.
yeah,
I don't
Yeah,
when
remember
North
seeing
Penn went
you
on
guys there.
strike.
My mom worked there. It was like
There
my
was-
childhood.
yeah.
Oh,
North
shit.
I did not.
North
Yeah.
Bend School District went on strike when I was in like third grade, third or fourth grade.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
so
That
we
was
would go there
awesome.
in the summers anyway. But when school went on strike, we went there full time. I became best friends with Chucky Nealman. That whole school year that didn't take place,
Yeah,
and we just had to go to the Boys and Girls Club every day.
dude.
It was
I-
awesome.
I remember being in Catholic school when that happened, and we would be walking home, and everyone's like playing football at the park, and we're like, "What?" You know,
Oh, that was
like,
probably so lame.
oh, hated it, because Catholic school people can't, like the Catholic school teachers can't strike because they're not in a union. So I was like, God damn it, why can't we go on strike? But whatever. So nice. So you would have to sell something for the Boys and Girls Club. Then you would,
subscriptions to something or I
Yeah.
forget what it was.
It
that
was
they were
something.
selling.
I don't remember
You had
what
to
it
hit a
is. I don't
certain
know.
number, you would get it, and then you get $100 credit for a pair of shoes. So I got the Rodmans one year.
yeah.
I got the
Oh, the
Berry
worms.
Turf
I had the
Yeah, I got
worms.
the Air with
I
the
had the
zipper.
worms. Fuck
I got
yeah, I had
the
the
worms.
worms.
I got the gloves. I got
Yeah.
the Berry Turf Johns,
Yeah.
and I forget what. And I got the Pippin up tempos that said "Air" real big on the side.
Oh yeah,
I had those.
No,
I
dude,
love
those
those.
were a massive, dude. They had to be like a top selling shoe. Everyone had
Yeah.
them.
Those were awesome.
Yeah, dude. So first off, you brushed over something that we need to dedicate some time to, and that's the East Bay catalog, right? How fucking great was dude? I would spend hours just going through, especially like before football season when they would release all the new like spikes that would come out, bro. And I remember I vividly remember when like the Air Max 95, 96, 97, like that year when those were coming out, and thinking like these are the fucking coolest shoes that have ever been created. You know what I mean? Like they were incredible, especially the 95s. Oh,
I love the
awesome.
catalog, always got it, but we were broke. We never ordered shit from it. So unless
Same.
you ordered something from it, you wouldn't keep getting issues. So you had to call every 3 months and request it, and they would keep sending it to you.
No,
But I always had the East Bay catalog. I loved it.
yeah.
That and what was the skate ones?
that.
The CCS catalog. They used there used to be a skate shop catalog that would come in the mail too. I used to get that.
Dude, fucking loved East Bay. East Bay was the best, man. Shout out East Bay, fan of the show, listener of the show. So I do remember. So you brought up the starter jacket, and on a previous show, we had guest of the show Todd Wyden during that episode, which is available now on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. J-Dub did share the story of when you would rip that starter jacket, and I mean, hard stuff.
It was like the last time I cried. Like I like when you get a little older. I was like 13. I think I still had it because I loved it. Yeah. It was still fresh. I took good care of it. I was like hopping fences to get back home, and I could do it with like you get both double legs over. I was real good at it, and like I could turn. It caught the front and just tore it like on one of the chain links that was sticking up. And I was like 13, and I like had like. I just bawled, I knew that there was no way, like they didn't exist anymore. I couldn't get another one. They weren't going to buy me another one. And I was just like, fuck. It was the first time I had broken something. I was like, damn, I should have taken, this is why you can't have nice things.
Yeah, that is a shame. It's heartbreaking.
Broke my heart.
Yeah, that is heartbreaking. I would agree. So nice. Liam, what were you, I know we brushed over you with fashion when Eric brought about you guys going shopping, but what do you remember about like what you were wearing as a kid growing up in the dirtiest of dubs?
I just remember everything being like so like big,
like, baggy.
Your shorts always had to be like 10 sizes too big. Your pants were always so long that you were stepping on them and getting holes in them. If there was like 3 drops of rain, you'd have a big wet spot on the heel of your pants.
Oh yeah, walking through like a puddle. Yeah.
But I was never really like skinny, so like big stuff was actually not like such a bad thing for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same.
Like it kind of like hides, like if you're not in good shape, if you're wearing super big clothes, like nobody can really tell. So it was okay.
Same. I was a big fan of like an extra large hoodie made me look. I got big shoulders, so it made me look jacked. It was great. But can't play that game nowadays. Fucking everything's got to be fit for guys like Eric and Justin. You fucking slender devils, you. So nice. So let's keep it moving. So I know for us, like you would joke around and like you bust balls with your buddies and all that stuff. Do you remember? And we'll kick it back to you, Liam. Do you remember like a joke or like a prank that you pulled and like what it was and what was one of the best pranks you pulled growing up in North Wales?
A prank like on would it have to be on one of the friends or just on anyone in general?
Anybody.
Oh man.
My God.
So me and Eric actually just talked about this the other night. When they were doing construction on the street in front of my house, they had the dividers up or like the
partition.
I don't know. Yeah, they would have like partitions where
it was like the orange barrels.
Okay.
With the flashing lights.
Yeah, like barriers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To like stop you from. So it's just to keep going straight. So you got one on the left side, one on the right side. Well, a couple of us, I actually had like a couple friends sleeping over that night. So
how old would you say you were?
Oh man, what do you think, Eric? 13, 14?
Okay. So middle school.
I think we might have been
15.
We had that camcorder. So we had to be pushing 16.
Okay.
It's probably like 15-ish.
Okay, so
15,
they have the street blocked off with the construction barrels and the tape and the caution tape and everything. So you had some friends sleeping over. Go ahead. Sorry.
And then we took the partition, the barrier that was on the right side, and rotated it 90 degrees. So instead of just going straight, you got it blocked from the left and coming straight forward. So if you're coming down 8th Street, it looks like it's blocked at the bottom of 8th and blocked going left on Church, telling the car to go right onto Church.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't, because they had 8th Street open, they didn't bust that up or anything. That was still level. But Church Street, there was like dude, Eric, what do you think? Like a foot and
it was
half
not
drop,
your
2
typical
feet?
This wasn't your typical road work where it's like
they didn't just
they
take
go down
off
the
the
ballot a
top.
little deeper than the manhole. Like this was like maybe a 3-foot drop down with mounds of rock stone. Like they were doing some kind of like deeper like sewer drainage work. They weren't doing road work. They were doing like sewer.
It wasn't asphalt. It was like sewer work.
So if someone drove into this, their car is bottoming out.
Absolutely.
Well, not just the car. We'll let Liam continue to tell the story.
So like the first couple times, you know, like people just pull up, they see it, they get pissed off, and they're like, then they move it out of the way.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like what you would just think would happen, but it could not. Like it ended up better than any of us could have possibly hoped for.
Real quick, let me I want to paint a picture from my mind. So usually when they do these construction things, they're blocking off where the construction is. What you guys have done is you rearranged it so that when people would come down, they would turn and go into where they were doing the construction. So the road is completely torn to shreds. It's fucking 3 feet down because they're doing like sewer work instead of just redoing the asphalt. So it's like, this is like pretty dangerous for a vehicle or anything to go near here, right?
It was a big drop. Yeah, exactly. So A Street, like if you know anything about North Wales Borough, it's like the streets just run up and down. It's like that's it.
Yeah,
like,
and
like
it's
all
on
the
a
way
hill.
down and up. So A Street is just going down. Like there's no stop signs or anything like that. And then you have church running across it. So we just we swung. So the barrels are set up to block off A Street. So it's like you're just staying on A Street. Well, we swung one. And now it's just the L right over. It's just a right-hand turn, a perpendicular right-hand turn right onto A Street. So in front of that, like if you make that turn, which we didn't think anybody would make that turn, you have Liam's house, the Ziegler house in between the cribs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and then
Liam, you want to continue?
But it's when they would make the turn, it's right down 3 feet down.
Oh my gosh, dude!
It was like at least 2 feet. It was a big drop off. It was not it wasn't like a small drop off at all.
All right.
After the first couple cars and people just like, so we're already having a great time, you know, because people are just getting out of their cars.
They're like these fuckers.
Yeah. And we keep moving them back. But by like the third or fourth car, we see a car coming down. I don't remember if they threw on the turn signal or not, because who even cares? But then you just hear like the loudest, like the two wheels go off the side. You just hear like, boom. And we could hear this from inside my house. There's a bay window in my living room.
And we're loud.
We're all kneeled across the couch, just watching out the window. We hear it so loud, the loudest boom. And then the car just goes in. Dude, it must have been like a portal into another dimension, because I don't even know how that truck got out of there anyway. Because
it was a truck. It was a pickup truck. And so we're all sitting. There's a video of this. We had a video camera.
Not anymore.
I know. We probably went over this, but there was a video of this. And we're all sitting inside, just like waiting. So we see headlights coming down A Street. And this truck doesn't even miss a beat. They just bang the right, and you hear bang, bang.
Dude, it was so loud. It was so loud.
Oh my god!
And we're like, oh shit! And then it just coasts. So we're expecting, like, I know for me, as soon as I saw the truck make the turn, I was in shock. I was like, oh my god, someone made the turn, and he didn't even like slow down really too much. And then when I hear the sound, and then once it registers, I'm like, oh shit. I was like, we're about to be in so much trouble, right? And then the miracle of all of this was this truck, like, you physically couldn't, there was like tractors, huge rock piles. Like, I don't even know, me and Liam were talking about this because we cannot figure out how this truck even got out. We were literally talking about this for like 10, 15 minutes about
Truck's
how this truck even get out of the
street,
street, because once it dropped in there, we don't know if
did the front end drop in or both, like the whole car go in?
Oh, the whole it was like bang, bang, bottom down.
Oh, so it like boom,
coasting
boom.
down, like readjusted and then just like coasted down. But we're all like ducking away from the window, so we didn't see the wormhole that this thing disappeared into. But I'll tell you what, I didn't see it come back out that way, and I didn't see it like tearing up someone's front yard. So Liam and I still have no idea,
dude,
how
so
this truck got out and why they didn't get out. Like I would have got out of my car or my vehicle and been like, what? I would have started cursing.
Oh, they're probably drunk. That's
stuff,
why.
like, sitting there. Exactly.
Dude, well, you got to think the only way that truck gets out of there is with like a wrecker or something, right? Like they got to like pull it out with a chain or something. There's no way. I just don't understand how the truck ever got out.
Was it there overnight?
No,
we don't know.
I mean,
like you just heard it.
I feel like we would have noticed.
And you guys,
like that's how our childhood was, because honestly, I don't remember anything after this. Like we probably just zoned out and like went and did something. Like we were like, oh, we're just gonna hit lightning bugs with wiffle ball bats. This wasn't. Like, it was a crazy event, but we were so like just on to the next thing that I don't know what we did, but I don't even remember the rest of that night or anything else. I just remember that.
Dude,
and then we probably did. We probably went and like smashed lightning bugs with wiffle ball bats out front.
We were probably setting up some pulley system with you know what I mean, with the Mickey Mouse rod to drop it down when they're driving by and everything.
Yeah. So when it goes into the hole, like the bed of the truck must have been like what, like 6 inches above like the street level that it was on, right? Like after it goes in the hole, yeah, like you probably can't even see the wheels in the hole if it's that deep, right? Like barely.
I just remember the truck going down and it being on like I remember the front wheels going over, and then I heard that metal banging sound.
Yeah, me too.
Probably like the person.
And then at that point we'd like ducked back.
Dude, the person in that truck was probably drunk, right? So when they went in there, they were probably like, "Oh fuck!" Like I cannot get the cops here, and they're just like praying, like, "Fucking get me out of this hole! I can't believe I missed that turn. Get me out of this fucking hole!" Right? And like they're probably just praying, like the cops don't show up, because you know what I mean. So, alrighty. Awesome. So let's keep it moving. Okay, so Liam, great prank. I mean, that guy's probably like, my insurance isn't gonna cover a fucking warp hole in the road. Like, what the hell? So, Eric,
by the way, if that guy's listening by any chance,
he definitely is.
Yeah,
friend of the show, listener of the show.
That was I was telling that story that in the first person. That was something a guy I knew did. Yeah. You witnessed someone move the barricades. You didn't move them yourself. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell that guy right now that not only was I there and I was a part of that, but I was also the one that suggested moving the barrels. And I remember picking them up like, "Yo, we should do this," and everybody was right with me doing it.
Yeah,
and
except for Liam.
Yeah, I just want to know, how did you get out of the street?
Yeah,
because I really honestly can't. I'm like picturing the street and I just don't know how you got out of there.
For the guy listening, he's definitely a listener and a subscriber. You leave it in the comments or hit us up on Twitter at Working Peapod or on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast, and let us know how you escaped the warp hole or the warp zone or whatever the hell it is. Because that is, I mean, that's pretty, dude. He probably was having a heart attack. If it's a he, we don't know. It could have been a she, right? But yeah, that's well, I mean, pretty well, statute of limitations is passed, guys, so you're good. So you can.
Okay, then I was there.
Yeah. So you're good. So okay, Eric, let's move on to you. What is besides sending a truck into the Twilight Zone? Do you remember another prank or something that you did when coming up in the dirtiest of dubs?
I did so many pranks. Like I was constantly joking around, like especially at Pembroke.
Yeah.
I was ridiculous. I mean, I did not take school serious at all. Like not even the slightest.
I think we all.
But we did a ton of stuff at Pembroke. I mean, we were terrorizing people with just pranks and stuff. One thing that I thought of actually, because Liam's here, is I used to do. So I used to make fake screen names on AIM. Was one of the things I used to do. And
for the Gen Z listening, AIM is AOL Instant Messenger, which was the precursor to texting. So what you could do is, when it's almost like Teams or Zoom or Skype is right now, well, not Zoom, but Teams or Skype is where it was like you would log in online and you could type to your friends or whoever, and like everyone can make up their own username. And what was, do you remember? Okay, so after we do this, remind me, we're gonna go over everyone's usernames on AOL and Semester. So you're creating up, so you're creating different fake screen names, usernames on AOL Instant Messenger. Keep going.
So what I would do is if you had like an L or a 1, those were interchangeable on the old school AOL Instant Messenger. So if my name was like Eric Zeblum, I could just make the L a 1. And you could do that with like capital O's and zeros. And there was a few others. I forget what they were, but I would just make fake accounts of other people's names. Like I would do whatever I could to replicate it.
Yeah.
And then I would hit people up and start conversations and say like off the wall stuff. Like I would hit on people. Like if I was a girl, I would hit on somebody. And then like I would go to school the next day, or like people would be like, yo, man, she da 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 da. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. And then I would just be like on there talking to these people. And the other thing I used to do was
hold on. So you would know, like, so we'll say for instance the girl's name, we'll say a girl's name is Stacy Jones, right? So if you use Stacy Jones's username, right, you would then change it so it's like maybe 1 digit or 1 letter different, but almost looks identical. And then you would hit up one of your buddies.
I would change the O to a 0.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and you would hit up one of your buddies saying like, hey, it's me, Stacy from science class. I was, I saw you in your red shirt today and really liked it and blah, blah, blah. And then like get into it with like, like how deep did you get into it? Were you like saying like explicit stuff like, oh, next time I see you, I'm going to fucking, it was more just like.
No. I mean, I was young, so I wasn't like I was in like middle school, but so I wasn't going too crazy, but I would say stuff like, oh, that's so cool. Like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, that's cool. Blah, 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 blah. See you tomorrow. I keep it vague and short and sweet.
So then the next day,
I had a couple of funny things.
Okay, go ahead.
I had a couple of funny conversations, and I used to have them all saved on my mom's computer, like our family computer. And I had like conversations because you could save them. You could save the chat. And I had some like really funny ones, and I definitely saw some people hitting on each other and shit the next day.
Oh shit, for real?
Watch. Yeah, or I'd watch like people like changing their swag around a certain person came around. It was hilarious.
Oh,
because like they really thought, they were like, yo,
this
on.
bitch is digging me. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, so I interrupted you. What was the other thing you were gonna say?
The other one was I would call people. So I would go into the phone book and I would find like I'll just call them characters, like people who had like a very unique character in middle school, someone that like I knew I could get a reaction out of or something like that. And I would find their house number, because like before cell phones, like we started having cell phones, I guess like what Liam, I guess we probably had cell phones in like 7th grade. We'd go buy cell phones at 8.
I didn't have a cell phone until way later. Till like senior year, I think I had one.
I didn't have a cell phone until I was like 22, I think.
I know I had cell phones in middle school because I remember I used to call Trav when Trav would. I'll tell that story later. But anyways, most people had house phones, so I would look up, a last name, figure out where the address is. It was pretty easy to track people down back in the day. So I would call people's houses, and I'm pretty good at voices. So like, for instance, the one I did was I used to do Regis Philbin voice, and I don't know that I was any good at it, but I would call people up and like say goofy things. Like, the one person, and Liam knows who I'm talking about. I called him up and he was like, yo, my uncle works for the FBI. I'm going to track him down. And then like, I would just go further, but like, I called him as though he was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
So you'd be like, this is Regis from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and you're the lifeline for blah, blah, blah. So answer this question, right? Like something like that.
It was good.
Can you still do can you still do the voices?
No, my voice is so messed up compared to how it used to be.
Dude,
right.
You brought up Mitchie and all those and like doing the prank phone calls and everything. We were doing this one night from my house, and before you call somebody, you got to hit like star 67.
Star 67.
Yeah.
Fucking Mitchie picks it back up, dials it, doesn't do star 67. So the dad the dad traces it back to my house, and I got all this trouble and everything because we forgot to block it one night too.
Oh, bro. So
We used
wait,
to do a lot of that. Pretty much anybody that had like anybody I knew I was getting a rise out of, I would call them. But there's certain people that like they would like give it back to you, you know, but like in their own way. And you would get them all hyped. You would just get them hyped. You just knew they would get all hyped and worked up and stuff like that. So it was just like great.
Yeah.
It's
kids being kids. Yeah.
Kids are dicks sometimes.
Dude, kids are shitheads, right? So speaking of, okay, so ALS semester, prank calling. Can you think of anything else, Eric?
Yeah, I can actually.
Let us have it, buddy.
So another thing I did on computers that was great was in middle school, I learned how to get around the restrictions or whatever. So on the old Windows operating system with the network, I found out that if you hit Control Escape or just Window, it would bring up like a task thing, and you could do. Are
you saying at school, like the block they had on the school computers? Oh, okay, so you're at school, and you're
so
fucking
like it would
around
be like
and you
your login name.
Okay, go ahead.
Login name. It'd be like login, and then it'd be like Zablues, which was my login name, and then it would be like password, and then it would be like NPSD something, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And I figured out how to go. You could hit Control Escape, and it would bring up a window at the password screen.
Right.
And then you could run Explorer, not Internet Explorer, but you could run like Windows Explorer.
Yeah.
And it would bypass all of the security stuff.
Yeah.
So then I went in and started making administrative. So I had access to like Grade Quick and all this stuff. And I forget who my homeroom teacher was, but I remember I used to say this to her, and then like I printed something out and I left it on her desk and left. And she was like, "I can't believe you can do this." And she called the like network administrator down, who happened to be Phil Riccardi's mom, who knew me because when I was in Hatfield, I played baseball with Phil Riccardi. She's like, "Oh, hey, Eric." Da, da, da. I was like, "Hey." She's like, "What are you doing?" And I used to go on the school network and change a lot of stuff. I changed all the backgrounds in the library. I would put like easy entertainment. I would change it, like pictures of wombats and stuff like that. Like there was little weird things that I would do, and then it progressed. Like when I got into high school, I actually got in trouble because I was putting Net Zero and AIM, or it was Net Zero, AIM, and Napster on the computers in the high school, and I uploaded the wrong kind of content, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And, it was just on this whole CD. But that was a whole other story. Yeah, shout out to Mr. Pizzolo.
Dude, shout outs to you for figuring that out. I remember one of the big things going around, especially like when you would go to the library in high school. I remember someone had figured out how to get Nintendo games on the computer, right? Yep. And it was like that that was like a whole thing you had to go through to do. And I remember doing that and being like, "This is the fucking best." And then like the library person would walk around and you'd have to like minimize it and pretend you're doing something and come back up. Yeah. So nice. So let's keep it going. So Justin, on to you. Good luck following that. But what do you remember, if any, pranks?
I like to do stuff for my own personal enjoyment. So my favorite one in my house was I had the room closest to the bathroom. We had like the normal tub, and then we had the sliding doors, not like a curtain, you know? So you had to slide the door and lean in and turn the water on for the shower. And there was this little switch above the spigot that would either make it, run out of the faucet or run out of the shower up top. So you had to reach in and your back would be exposed. If you didn't notice that little switch was up, the shower would be on. So once you turn the water, it's an old house, no matter hot or cold, freezing cold water would hit you in the back if you didn't notice that switch was up. So my whole life, I would always leave the switch up every time I got out of the shower, and my bedroom was right there. So anytime I'd hear somebody taking a shower, I'd always like wait and be like, did they notice? And if they didn't, they would lean in, turn the water on, and just cold water would spray you immediately when you turn the knob, and they'd be like, "Fuck!" Like it was my favorite thing in the world. It made me so happy. That one I absolutely loved, like because you just hear him scream, like, and sometimes it'd be my mom and like, "Oh, I feel bad, yo." But you just look for the plunger. My other favorite one was at North Penn's library. putting books in people's backpack when they weren't looking. So then when they left the library, the alarm would go off was my favorite thing to do.
That's a good one. That's good, dude. That's good.
Yeah.
And you were saying with so I didn't know how to get around it, but there was a website you could go to where you could then type in a website and you could get to that website. That's how I could get around it at North Penn.
They had a filter faker. You could put it.
That's what it was. One of my other favorite things
I should remember
was
I can't.
to go to the fake websites, just print out pictures of dicks, as many as I could during like lunch, and then just fold them up and just stick them in people's lockers while I was walking down the hallway. I would do it for like an hour,
good.
And it would make me so happy. There was one on Google. It was a guy who like tied it in a knot, and it was just like that picture on Google image, and I would just print that like 25 copies, fold it up, and just stick it in different lockers as I walk down the hall.
Oh wow,
Good work.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean,
It
wow,
felt a long
guys.
time.
Pretty good shit right there with the pranks. Excellent stuff. So okay, very cool. So next thing I wanted to ask. So I know this, right? Growing up in my neighborhood, there was like the crew, right? And we talked about this before on the Weekend Poppin', I believe, which is available on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Work Perspectives Podcast. And there was like the crew was like 12, 15 guys, whatever. And then there would sometimes be other neighborhood kids that would try to get in, but like, they would just like, they didn't make final cut after tryout. You know what I'm saying? Like they just weren't in, like just something about them, maybe we weren't mean to them, but like, you're just not with the crew. Right. And like, there's some of them that were like, dude, I just don't fucking like this kid or whatever it is. Right. I know in North Wales, like you guys have like your nucleus of your crew, right? And it ranged from all different ages and like brothers and everything like that. And like there was different like different sections in your crew. Like there's different groups of guys that were in your crew, but it's all like one big crew, right? Was there some people that you would exclude? And if yes, do you remember why?
Oh my God.
And we did talk about this last week where there was the other side of North Wales Avenue crew kids that were just like, okay, so Elm Street was the dirty kids. Okay, so go ahead. Was there any kids that were just like, fuck off, man? Right?
I mean, look, we were monsters as kids. There were certain kids we would like call them their real name just to like drive them crazy. There was like a certain kid who like walked home and our bus would pass him every day, and we would just yell shit at him and throw shit at him every day.
Just
for no reason.
Dick. Wait,
yeah.
You lived like 2 blocks. Oh, wait, what school? Oh, you're talking about high school?
The bus would have been like North Penn, but even still, like even inside of North Wales, like there were just certain, I don't know, just certain kids, that just they were weird.
Yeah.
And you would point it out to them.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. 100%. There were people in North Wales that like were not like, we were like, yeah, like unfortunately you live here. And it was just like the mentality we had when we were kids. But they would like, if they were like, yeah, North Wales, and be like, unfortunately, like you can't throw a football, like that. We just like say some stupid thing, like, but like, and like realistically, it was cool. But we had like our inner community rivals of other kids our age.
Yeah.
But as far as kids that like actually tried to fit in, like those kids just knew, like they didn't come around us.
Yeah.
Like you either made the cut early or you didn't.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it like that, it sounds pretty ignorant.
It's true though.
It was just the way it was. Like we just had like our network was our network, and it was kind of just like we just knew who was who. But there was definitely some people. What I thought of when you asked that question was there was some people that tried to kind of like come and intertwine.
Yeah.
But the difficult thing was that like our inner group of friends made fun of each other so extremely. Like, I mean, like over the top stuff that like, I don't like even on like, I can't even like, we were just over the top, which is how we would bust on each other.
Yeah.
So that when people came around, like even people, like if I had a friend, I'd be like, oh, it's my boy. And I'd be like really good friends with this person, but I bring them around North Wales and they're just like, never would want to come back ever again. They're just so uncomfortable. They leave feeling so like probably insecure or like, just like, what was that? Like, that doesn't seem like camaraderie.
Why did you fight all these guys?
But to us, it was just, that's just how it was. So that happened a lot, but I mean, there's a ton of people that kind of were on the outskirts, kind of been, kind of not like coming around, and we were cool with them, but still it's just the way we hung out. Like when we were in our element at 8th and Church, like we were talking shit.
Yeah.
Like it was just going to happen.
It's hard to bring a new kid around when you're like, hey, by the way, somebody's probably going to call you a faggot, and I wouldn't fight them over it if I were you, just for the record.
Yeah. Like, but if you gave it back, it was just like, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like you just had to give it back, right? Like you just get in on the joke, right? Like that was just, I don't know. That's how I always saw it. But we did talk about last week about how, and I'm wondering, Liam, you probably experienced this, is where like you would be invited to a party, and let's say it's with like a hoity-toity type, and they'd say like, hey, you can come, don't bring your friends. Kind of
yeah.
Yeah.
I know Liam's had the same experiences I've had in that department.
Yeah.
And then we just end up inviting them all anyway.
Yeah. It's tough not to, man. It's fun when you're chilling with your buddies, and like you do need your people. So, all right. Well, then, so when I was coming up, right, like I feel like everyone kind of has like an old head, right? Like my old head was Jack Byers. He was like the coolest dude, and he always like liked me, and like, you know, would like, you know, he wasn't like hanging all the time with us, but if he saw us, he was like, you know, he thought like he would say hi to me, and like he was like an upperclassman that was like the coolest guy in the school, and fucking everyone liked him and like all this stuff. And he was like, you know, would say like he's like our buddy and whatever, right? But he was like our neighborhood old head. And then eventually I would be like an old head for a kid coming up. Did you guys, and we'll start with you, Liam, did you have like an old head that was like an older kid that like you were cool with? And then vice versa, did you have a younger kid that you kind of were his old head?
Yeah, I mean, for older guys, one of my best friends, Trav, had older brothers. So
yeah,
I would say his oldest brother, Russ, the JR DJ, and then Romero was way older. Yeah, those guys, Romero, Russ, DJ, JR were like the older ones that.
Yeah.
But DJ and JR weren't really older, but they were kind of, you know, like with the older guys, you know.
Yeah.
But Russ was the oldest, and me and him were really good friends. I mean, I lived with him at one point, everything.
Yeah.
And then for like younger people, I guess, I mean, my brother is 6 years younger than me.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
I don't know too much. I don't know younger, because like by the time I got older, I kind of, you know,
yeah,
was
yeah,
like,
yeah. And there wasn't any. Hey, also you had to have candidates worthy. You know what I mean? Maybe the pickings were kind of slim back then.
Yeah, probably.
What about Jada? What about you? Did you have an old head, and vice versa? Were you anyone else's old head?
Younger, so from like, I don't know, like third grade to sixth grade, me and Josh the boys used to hang out like every day, like because we would walk home.
Older is he?
He was he was the same grade as my little brother, who's the same grade as Eric's little brother. Okay. But like, I liked Josh. Josh was cool. My little brother was annoying as fuck. And like me and that kid, we'd hang out a bunch. His older brother, he had a brother, Ryan, who was like a year lower than me. And we were all cool. And then like excluded my little brother because he was a literal redheaded stepchild.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you
have
an old head?
Like my buddy Danny, he had an older brother who was friends with Tommy's older brother, was friends with Matt, who lived on that same street. And then all those kids were like, it'd be one day or the other. Like one day they'd be cool to you, and the next day they just like power bomb you when you walked in the house.
Yeah. But it would be awesome because it's like, oh, dude, the older guy. No.
I hated it, yo. One time Danny called me and he's like, yo, come over. And I was like, okay. And I walked over, and I wasn't even that cool with Matt. I was cool with Tommy's older brother and Danny's older brother. And he snuck me from behind the door and just power bombed me like from out of the blue. I like did something to him. I forget what I did to him, but I didn't see it coming, and I bit the shit out of my tongue. Like, cause I literally didn't see it coming at all. It was blindsided, and I bit my tongue when he slammed me, and I turned around, I spit like a mouthful of blood, like all over his shirt. It tried to like turn into a war in there.
What? Who is this kid? Who is the kid?
Matt O'Connor. He used to live right on the top of 40.
Shout out to Matt O'Connor. Nice.
Yeah. Powerbomb
Good
the fuck out of me.
Yeah. That was Steve's talked about him before on the Weekend Poppin', available on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Work Respect This Podcast. So
I used to always see Sean too jog. So the one time
Sean Day.
I had my GMC Jimmy. It doesn't have heat in it, so I'm going to get cigarettes at the mobile.
Jimmy.
I had a blanket I would keep in the back to like keep me warm. I'm driving to the mobile, and jogging down the street is Sean Day in combat boots, cargo shorts and just jogging down the side of the road. I'm freezing in a blanket.
No shirt.
Probably a t-shirt, but like short. I remember all I could picture was the shorts and the boots, and me with my blanket curled around me to go get cigarettes, and I was like, "Damn, we are two different fucking animals."
When he was on the show, he had talked about how he had done he was like when he was getting he knew all right, well, I should run when I'm cold because they said you're going to be cold in the SEALs, so and he was out running like that. Yeah, and his show is available on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Work and Respect His Podcast. He had 2 shows actually, both of them available on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Work and Respect His Podcast. So nice. EZ, how about you, buddy? Any old head?
So you're asking head? Yeah, if I had someone that kind of was like my old head, and then if I was someone else's old head.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what Liam said. But it's kind of weird because there were so many guys. There was such a high volume of guys around our age that even the old heads were only 3 years older.
Yeah. But at that point, they're it's you know what I mean? When they're that much older, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but there was DJ, JR. And then even just my brother is only a year older than me, but still is Kevin, Jay, Victor Jakes, Matt O'Connor, Chaz. There was definitely the Chuck and people down on at the bottom of 7th Street and stuff like that. But so it was kind of a pretty fluent trickle down effect. The age gaps weren't really big jumps, so to speak, but there were definitely people that intimidated me. And right. that I kind of looked up to in a certain way.
Yeah.
And then on the flip end of that, it was kind of the same thing. I mean, I had Justin mentioned a few of them, but there was my younger brother and his friends. So there's my younger brother Alex, there was Greg Messina, there was Josh DuBois, and then a whole bunch of those guys. But I know they would come around. I would rough them up and stuff like that, and they saw me, and
Yeah, but they were also knew hey, this guy's cool kind of thing. You're all right, these are knuckleheads. Yeah, I remember one of my other old heads. Yeah,
looked up to me a little bit.
Yeah, I bet that, dude. They definitely did. I remember another one of my old heads was a guy, Jason Bisline. He was in the Navy, really cool guy. But then one of the young kids that I felt like I was his old head, and we all know him and we all love him, and his name's John Bell. Fucking love that kid, especially later. I was I remember I would give him shoes and try to make sure he's fucking doing okay. And I've dropped off food to him once or twice. And, when we would go out, I'd get him drinks and hang out with him and stuff. But John Bell, big fan of him. Yeah. I always felt because he was my little brother's best friend. So he was always around. And I was John
Bell's good, dude.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of him. Big fan of him. Can't wait to get him on the show.
He's very funny.
On the show. I love that kid. Yeah.
Bell is fucking hilarious. Okay.
Let me tell one quick Bell story too, because it's hilarious. I'm at my brother's house. I've never met John Bell before. I get drunk with him. He leaves for an hour, returns, and he's we're hey, where'd you go? And he goes, classic Swamp Fox. And Brad goes, what? Who's Swamp? He goes, call me Swamp. He's you can't make up your own nickname. He goes, classic Swamp Fox. Make it up his own nickname. He has a Jacksonville Jaguars Sports Illustrated edition.
Love it. It's a varsity.
The leather sleeves. My brother has hardwood floors. This kid, I wake up in the morning. I'm who the fuck is he? Is asleep on my brother's 3x3 rug. It's tiny, a little foot rug, just asleep on it face down with the Jacksonville Jaguars coat up. And I was I love this kid. You can bring him around every time.
Yeah, massive fan of Bellberg. Yeah, he's always go Jags. Whenever I talk to him, he always says that. Go Jags. Yeah, he's the fucking best. Big fan of Bell. So, all right. So, guys, we're coming to the top of time. This has been, I'll tell you what, another fucking killer episode. Fucking really happy that you guys came on, and can't thank you enough for being on the show. This was just great. Before we get out of here, Lashmize, Lashmishma, Lashmish.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say to your adoring public before we take off?
No, it's been great. I would love to do this again.
Hey,
this was fun.
Just let you know, you guys are all going to be booked for a personal, a single episode, because people fucking I let Cabot book a couple, and well, let's just say they're not going to come through. So it is what it is. Nice. But yeah, no, I'll definitely can't wait to have you back on the show, man. And I think me and Justin are definitely in agreement with this. We usually are, but like all you Ndub guys are coming back on the show. Would you agree, J-Dub?
Yeah, it's always fun. Last week, I didn't even know who it was going to be. There was like, oh, it's a panel, a bunch of North Wales kids. I was like, ooh,
yeah,
how exciting.
Yeah. Last week it was Brandon,
Eric.
Yeah. Brandon, Eric, Steve, you, and then me and Bern did a double host and paneled you guys. It was great. And then, okay, perfect. So before, Eric, anything you want to say to the legions of your adoring fans before we get out of here?
Oh man. Not too much to say, honestly. It's just cool to sit here. I mean, there's honestly so much that we could really get into. Like there's multiple layers of stories within stories upon stories. So, I hope I can get back on and we can continue to get into some of this stuff, especially like, I was real close with Liam. So we have like a bunch of stories that can just go on. Like we could sit here for an hour telling you one story and just get deep into it. So it's cool to be here with you guys, man. It really is. I appreciate being here and I hope to be back soon.
No,
Thank you.
You definitely will. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the, and Justin, I think you'll agree with me. That is one of the best parts about doing the show is like, we do get new people on the show that we don't really know, and getting their story is awesome because it's always cool to like learn something new and get a new thing. But like when you're catching up with old friends, it is the fucking best.
Yeah. This is probably like my 6th or 7th episode. And then last week, all those this week, I was like, oh, this is just fun. This doesn't feel like I have to like, I just get to sit here and smile.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, it is. Dude, it is a blast. I'm, and like we've been on for 2 hours and it flies by because you're just like joking and talking. So yeah, no, it is a lot of fun. And you both will definitely be back on, hopefully sooner than later. Jalen Dub, before we roll out, anything you want to say to the legions of the, this is what it sounds like where the Dubs fly.
Just behave yourself, stop by Tony's Pizza, stop by Wishes Water Ice, just be good.
What's the
Wonderlicks now.
Wonderlicks now.
Yeah.
Formerly Wishes Water Ice, but now Wonderlicks.
Shout out Wonderlicks.
Shout out Mikey Show.
Fan of the show, listener of the show, and they're a great follow on Instagram if you want to follow them. So, all right, well, we've come to the top of time. This has been another episode of the Working Perspectives podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied today by Justin Richardson, Liam Reese, and Eric Zeblum. You can find all our content and all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Perspectives Podcast. You can hang out with us on Instagram at Working Perspectives Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email us at workingperspectives@gmail.com. And please, God, I hate that I have to do this, but if you would just like the video, it's one click. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It's driving me insane, the amount of nagging I get for doing the show. So yeah, please do that. But thanks for listening. Stick around for the ad read. Thanks. See you.
Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott and Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott and Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott & Bell Publishing, where the authors go.